Thanks so much for joining us here. You're watching a previously recorded episode of our Bluebeam webinar series, Cold Brew and Review. You can join us live on the first Wednesday of each month. Our expert, David Campbell, will show you how to use this amazing tool. And all of our live sessions have a moderated Q&A, so you can have all of your questions answered in real time. We hope to see you next month, and for now, on to the episode. For anybody that's already on, there's a couple of you. If you have questions, you can drop them in the chat. I'll be moderating that. My name's Rain. Or feel free to drop them in the questions segment as well. I'll be looking at both of those screens while David's presenting. So feel free to throw all your questions our way.
Well, as we're waiting to get started here, is anyone drinking any cold brew today? Anyone have any interesting cold brews? I'm pretty basic. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of my favorite times of year here, so of course I had to jump on the whole and give me a pumpkin spice cold brew with some pumpkin spice cold foam.
Love it. I have not had a pumpkin spice anything yet this year, and I too am ultra basic. I love the pumpkin spice season. I can't get enough of it. I'm here for it. I wish it was year round.
Yeah, right. Gosh, me too. I'm there for that, and then gosh, as soon as it starts getting colder, the peppermint mocha. For some reason, I always love the peppermint, like the Christmas kind of themed coffees as well. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not a huge chocolate and mint fan personally, but I love the eggnog creamer.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's my holiday jam. Is Chobani makes it's an oat milk eggnog, and it is so good. It's so good. If you want to like treat yourself, that is the eggnog creamer to get, as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Heck yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Today, our topic is the Bluebeam Cloud, right? So we're going to talk about the cloud, talk about what that is. There's been quite a few changes for Bluebeam here this past, I'd say, year or quarter, just in the past few months. One of the big things I wanted to, of course, mention today, Bluebeam Cloud. For some of you that had used Bluebeam Rover before, you're going to notice some similarities there. But we're going to talk about what the Bluebeam Cloud is, and one of the other big parts about it, how do we get the documents into Bluebeam Cloud? How do we get started with it? So for today's agenda, as I kind of said earlier, we're going to run through the Bluebeam Cloud. We're going to dive into that a little bit, talk about what it is, and how to get our documents into the cloud. So before I jump into that, I usually like to start these off with a little description about who we are. So Topcon Solutions, we are a direct sales retail division of Topcon Positioning Systems, who is our global company, right? Topcon Solutions, we have currently 13, but I think there's about to be 15 brick and mortar locations in the US. So I'm gonna have to update this slide here within the next few days. We do have an office opening up in Cranberry Township, and I think there's another one. I'm not sure the location, I'll have to double check. But we are opening up, we are expanding across the United States. A lot of these brick and mortar locations are going to have different things that we support within them, essentially like our stores to sell a lot of the great equipment, whether it's stakes, you need prisms, poles, you need equipment worked on, whether it's your total station, scanner, anything like that. But we also train in a lot of these different locations. We offer many different courses, such as training in Bluebeam Revu, Autodesk products, Topcon products, you kind of name it. And the other kind of piece I wanted to bring together with this is that with Topcon Solutions, it's kind of one thing that sets us apart. We service the civil construction as well as the vertical construction marketplace, and it's really not just one piece of it. It's not really pre-construction design. It's really all of construction in terms of from start to finish. Whether you're trying to figure out software to hardware workflows or vice versa, we can help you with that. So let's get this going. My name is David Campbell. I'm a senior application specialist with Topcon Solutions, and thankfully, I'm happy to be here with all of you for another Cold Brew and Review webinar. It was actually pretty awesome. I do want to make a point of this. I was at Autodesk University last week, and one of our members who actually joins the Cold Brew and Review, he saw me there and he got really excited and came up to introduce himself to me. It was awesome. It was a great experience. I love meeting you guys. I love the feedback that we get from you. I'm just very, very thankful and appreciative to have you all here. So time to dive in, right? Let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate over to the cloud. One thing that I want to mention before I get into here is just really quick within review. What I've seen so far from the Bluebeam Cloud is that we cannot modify or manipulate our documents within the cloud. I do want to make that note really quick, and I'll come back to this here again in a second, but the cloud is going to be a great place to mark up drawings, to make punches, do those RFIs. We're going to see some other awesome features here in a second, but I did want to make sure to point out really quick that a lot of your document management is still going to be done within the desktop version of Review, okay? So on that note, the website that you guys want to go to access Bluebeam Cloud is app.bluebeam.com, app.bluebeam.com. Now this is, of course, if you're using it on your desktop or your laptop, right? If you're using it from your mobile device, you would just look for the Bluebeam Cloud in your download center, whether that's Apple, if you're looking in the App Store, or if you're looking for Android, wherever you go to download those mobile applications from, that's where you're going to find Bluebeam Cloud. Now, when you go to sign in, this is going to be looking for that studio login. So your studio is going to become that Bluebeam ID, and then essentially your password, right? So I'm going to enter in my email address here. All right, and then my password. Now, I will tell you that you will get a different email for this. I've went through it this week where the administrator invited me to my project, or to Bluebeam Cloud. And in that sense, I did go ahead and create a new password for using with Bluebeam Cloud. I'm not sure if all of you will have to do that, but I wanted to let you know that was a step that I have went through so far. So if anything, it might just ask you what your email is and then to create a new password to go ahead and get ready to sign into the Bluebeam Cloud. All right, so we'll give it a second here. Now, when you land, I know the blue dots are going, there it goes. When you land, what you're gonna see is your project home screen, okay? So there's my TSS rover demo, there's my new TSS Cold Brew Review. You'll be able to essentially get into your project settings here, search your projects, or create a new project, okay? We can click that little button there on the top right corner to go ahead and create a new project. So I'll go ahead and get into my TSS Cold Brew and Review. We'll give this a couple seconds to spin up. All right, so now that we have landed, what you'll see is most of our stuff is gonna be, most of the navigation is gonna be along the left-hand side here. We're gonna have our dashboard, which is gonna give you an overview of your project. One of the big things I wanna mention here is location. This is a very, very cool feature. For those of you that are familiar with Rover, or were familiar with, Atlas. You guys will start seeing some of those features here. What we can do is actually tie a location into Google Maps, and then what you'll see up top here off to the right is map view. And with this map view, what you'll notice is we can literally overlay our PDF documents right over the top of a map. We will have to specify the scale of that and rotations and things like that, but we're gonna go ahead and see that capability here within Bluebeam Cloud. One big thing I wanna talk to you guys about, you'll notice that we have documents and we have drawings. Documents. When I click into here, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a couple seconds. But documents is essentially pretty much, if any of you have used projects before, it reminds me a lot of Studio projects. You're going to have the capability to create a folder structure, and then you can store any type of documents here within, documents, right? So you'll see my construction drawings 100% there, and then I can go ahead and click on that and start seeing my drawings. Now, the other interesting piece that I want to make sure that I mention here, because of course I wanted to talk about how do we get these drawings and stuff into the cloud? Well, if you click on upload, what we should see is file and then folder. If I go to folder, it's of course going to go ahead and start directing me to my file explorer. Okay, well, in this case, maybe I really don't want to, I don't want to pull that from my local. Maybe I have this information held within a studio project. So let me go ahead, I'm going to dive into my construction documents here. And again, you're going to see kind of the same thing here for file and for folder. Now, again, I can go straight to file, and it's going to take me right to my local. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this for a second, though. What you'll notice is upload any of your documents. You'll see I've just uploaded a bunch of PDFs. I'm going to use pretty much the same ones in my drawings in terms of the documents that are going to be available for your use within Bluebeam Cloud. So if I click on my A1.2 second floor reference plan, what you'll notice is the document will open up, right? We have our markup tools over the left. You're going to see even the image tool here. Those over are going to be like the cloud tool, your pen tool. We're going to have callouts, text. We're going to have arrow, slider. I did one just like here, which I want to mention. This act to have that vectorly works very well. It does in Revu. If you do vectorized text, it will go ahead and embed text there. And then you have the capability to add images. Okay, so we can add images to this if we need to as well. So the other piece that I want to make sure I talk about here is one, navigating around the document. You're going to notice at first, just like within Revu, if we look over here to the bottom left side, you're going to see that single page, that one full page, right? Or scrolling pages. So we still have that capability. If you have a multi-page, PDF, you're going to go ahead and essentially see it here, where we can go ahead and just scroll down through it. One thing you will notice is that the navigation, though, is a little bit different. Your mouse wheel isn't going to zoom you in and out. That's going to be this little tab off here to the right, the zoom tool. That is what you're going to use to zoom in and out of your drawings, of your documents in this case, excuse me. And then you can use your mouse wheel to pan around that drawing. Okay. Now, when we upload the file in here, the other piece I want to make sure I also mention. You guys notice here over to the left side on top of our markups there's a tool chest. If I click that, it's going to give me the default tool chests or the tool sets that usually come with Bluebeam Revu. The architect review, contractor, engineer, things like that. I also want to make a point that you can create or upload new tool sets. So in this case, if you want to upload a tool set, we would go ahead and dive into where we keep our tools, and then we would import that tool set in. Okay. So the other piece that I want to make sure that I mention, I'm going to go ahead and back out of this minute, and I'm going to go into my construction set B, because I wanted to make sure I made that point earlier in terms of that document management. We're going to give this a second to spin up, because this is a 48-page sheet set. It may take just a couple more seconds to open up. But the big thing I wanted to mention here is that if you do upload a multi-page PDF like this, you will notice all of your hyperlinks. They will, anything like that, in the document itself, they're going to be there. Now, the other thing that I wanted to also kind of mention is that while we're making these markups, that's pretty nice, right? If we want to make a cloud markup here, or maybe we want a call out markup, one big thing that we're, kind of looking at or missing here is our markups list, right? So you'll notice in this case, it actually has our comments off to the right-hand side, comments and shapes. Here is where we can go ahead if we have a call out that's been placed on the document, and let's just go with, all right, below. Oh, it clicked off of it. I'll try that one again. You'll notice that, like, if I place my call out here, the call out, oh, change pages, there we go. The call out is a comment, right? So we're going to see that call out here, whereas of course the cloud, other objects like maybe highlights, things like that, are going to be shapes. You're going to see the highlight there. The other piece that I like about this, though, is they've brought a little bit of studio into the cloud. You're going to see the fact that we can actually set statuses here. Now, I will have to dive into this a little bit more for the next Bluebeam Cold Brew and Review webinar that I do. I'd like to see if we can customize these statuses. I have not been able to test that out yet. So again, I'm looking at doing that within a further Cold Brew and Review webinar. But the other things that I really like about this, it's going to carry across our options bar, so we can go ahead and start changing those. Can add that line width so I can actually see. Oops, there we go. I keep trying to scroll in with my mouse wheel, guys. Pardon me. I'm still used to scrolling, zooming in and out with that mouse wheel. I'll have to get used to this. But essentially, I like the fact that you have, your options bar here, but you can also see the details of this markup here within the comments and shapes as well. So in saying that, right now we have the default tools, so they're going to default to what they are. If we add a tool set that has some different subjects, things like that, we should be able to go ahead and utilize those markups here within Bluebeam Cloud. All right, so we've brought a document in, and the other piece I wanted to make sure that I mentioned was the markups. So I'm going to go ahead and, as I wanted to mention real quick, you guys can also download any of these documents, so you can set, permissions on terms of who's going to access this, and essentially what they can do, which is probably a pretty good sidetrack we'll take here in a second to talk about inviting members in. But really quick here, I wanted to talk about some of the differences between documents and drawings. So when I go into drawings, what you guys are going to see, I have some published and I have uploads here. What you'll notice is that when you go to upload drawings, I'll go to hit add drawings here. This is where we're going to see the connection to Bluebeam Studio. So we can go to browse files if we want to, and that's just like with the documents, that's going to pull from our file explorer. But if we go to import drawings, you're going to see from integrations and then from studio. So if I click on from studio, let's say there's my Bluebeam online data sets, this is going to reflect what I have in my Bluebeam Studio projects, okay? These are coming from projects. So again, whatever you have here, you're going to be able to see when you're going to import these drawings in under the Bluebeam Cloud and drawings. So again, if I wanted to go into Bluebeam Online data sets, I could go into my essentials class files, my docs, but of course I would go back one because there's my second floor reference plan. There's the architect review. I have construction set A. I have, some different things that I can go ahead and bring in for the example here. Maybe I'll bring in a vector and a raster sample, confirm my selection. And what you're going to see is they will go ahead and process. Now, the interesting thing is they will not show in published until you'll notice a couple of these documents here, like my, this is just a one page here. You'll see that ready for review button next to it. So I can go ahead and click on ready for review, and it'll tell you, it's running that OCR, right, to tell you what the number is. So what is your page number? What's your title? So this is the 2.2 door schedule, the discipline, the issue date, and if you want to add any comments for your revisions, we can go ahead and do that as well. Now, once we've gone through to make sure this is exactly what we need, and notice if it's not, you can go ahead and edit this. And when you go to edit it, it'll ask you what the discipline is, you know, what the issue date, things like that. And we can go ahead and save it. Now I'm gonna deselect this. I'm gonna go ahead and publish it. Now that you've published it, that's when it's gonna show here under the published drawings. So if I go back to my uploads, I'm gonna go ahead and look down here for that 48, 49 page sheet set. This is gonna be my construction set B. You'll notice that it'll go through each number here, again with the title and the discipline on all of these drawings. So it rips it apart. That's the other big piece that I wanted to make sure I mentioned. Documents, that is where you can view an entire, you know, PDF document at one time. You can scroll through those different pages, place markups, that kind of stuff. Within drawings, it actually breaks that PDF apart into individual pages. So I'll go ahead and publish that. And now under published, we'll see all of our individual drawings from that PDF set. Now we'll also see if I click into this, like my A1.1.1 here, you'll notice at this point, it's kind of similar to documents in the sense that, you know, we have our tool chest to utilize our comments. We have our different markups here as well. But this is also where you're going to start seeing the functionalities for RFI and for punches. So if I have a comment that's going to be an RFI, I can go ahead and select an RFI, or in this case, I probably need to make one, or I could utilize this for punch. If I utilize this for punch, it's going to be like my punch keys from within Revu, but essentially it's going to go ahead and ask me the location, the description, the priority, who I want to assign this to, the discipline, and if I want to add any photos to this punch item, I can go ahead and do that here. Now, the other piece I want to quickly mention is that if you do have a multi-page document, like we were talking about within documents, you're not going to see that within the drawings. But within documents, this little button here off to the left pretty much kind of gives us a reminiscence of Bluebeam Revu, right? It's a panel. And in that panel is much like your thumbnails within Revu, where it'll actually give you the different pages within your document. No, you can't do anything. You can't rearrange them. You can't right click and insert or export or anything like that. The only thing you're going to be able to do is click on those pages to navigate around that document. Otherwise, of course, you would go ahead and hit next page to navigate around that. Now, you'll also notice the drawings. They are not going to offer you the capability to do one full page or scrolling pages. I mean, that makes sense, right? Because it is essentially ripping apart each page of these. They're going to be their own individual PDF in this sense. So we really wouldn't need the scrolling pages, but I wanted to make you all aware that you're not going to see that within drawings. All right. So I talked about one part of the connection of adding drawings. The other piece I want to talk about is also going to lead us into talking about our teams here. And I'm going to finish up just a few minutes early here so we can leave this open for any questions. But you're going to notice from integrations. Now, right now, I don't have any current integrations with my active account. But if I go up to settings, you're going to see the tab that's going to populate right next to my project settings for integrations. Integrations, this is the other way you can also bring in those drawings, right? If you're using SharePoint, if you're using OneDrive, Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, or Ignite, you can go ahead and sign into any of these to go ahead and connect. So you'll notice I have my OneDrive here connected. I can manage this connection to specify exactly what I want to from my OneDrive into Bluebeam Revu for these, or Bluebeam Cloud, excuse me, for these drawings. All right, and then finally, The last point I wanted to make is your team. I'll click out of the integrations here and scroll over to the teams. What you'll notice about teams is this is where you invite your different users or your different personnel that you're going to add in. Now, you'll notice there are 3 permission levels here: admin, member, and viewer. These are very, very important to think about when you're looking at what these members can do within your project, within Cloud here, right? So if you're curious, there is a little eye next to the permission level that when you click it, it will tell you what each of these members can do within the overall project, within drawings, within Punch, each individual part of the Bluebeam Cloud. So of course, admin are going to be able to pretty much do anything they want. Members are going to be able to download some data. They're going to be able to create those punches. They're going to be able to edit, respond to some of those RFIs, things like that. But they are not going to be able to, do like posting or creating the RFIs. And of course, as you go to viewer, you're going to see that some of those permissions are also lessened. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Again, we really appreciate having you guys here, having you guys attend these Cold Brew Review webinars. And as always, if you have any feedback for us, if you have any ideas on things you might want us to cover, please feel free to reach out. We love hearing from you. We love the feedback. And then again, if you're not so sure about review, if you're just trying to get into it, we do have a free trial download here.
Thanks everybody for joining us. We will be back in November 2nd. The next episode's gonna discuss preparing drawings in the Review Cloud. All right, everybody, thanks so much. We'll see you next time.